Hi Nick, happy Tuesday. Of the teaching stuff variety. Here to teach you all about food after an hour of filming and a 7.5 minute video that still wasn't finished being edited. I reshot some of it and decided to focus on just one aspect of food. Let's do it. Alright, so there's not a lot of time because there's a lot to cover and I've already videoed a lot of it and I wasn't talking very fast there, so I'm going to have to talk fast here to make up for it. The whole reason I'm telling you about the Lipid Hypothesis is I've been reading a lot of Michael Pollan lately. He's the author of In Defense of Food and The Omnivore's Dilemma. I'm a huge fan of Michael Pollan. You should actually look at his website. I put a link of it right here in the doobly-doo. I should probably point out that the whole reason I'm talking about the Lipid Hypothesis is I was trying to talk about the incompleteness of science. That isn't to say that I don't like science. I actually very much enjoy it. I just believe that science can be misunderstood and misinterpreted both intentionally and unintentionally by the government and advertisers alike. Now, there's plenty of reasons that the government or advertisers want to misunderstand science or tell you that things are real when they're not. But we don't have time to go into those today. What we will go into is an example of misinformation that actually turned America into a very obese nation. This example is called the Lipid Hypothesis. It posits that there's a direct correlation between the amount of saturated fats and cholesterol that you eat and your risk for coronary heart disease. Now, the national acceptance of this hypothesis led to a flurry of warnings against the dangers of eating things like butter, red meat, and eggs, even though none of those things are actually bad for you. Now, the fact that food officials adopted this hypothesis wasn't really such an evil thing. I'm sure some of them thought they were doing good. The problem came when they were afraid to challenge the food lobbyists by telling you not to eat something, so they told you to eat more of something else, hoping you would understand the implications. The more of what they told us to eat were things like refined carbohydrates and trans fats such as margarine. Unfortunately, this turned out to be a bad idea. Now, it seems simple, right? Because we all know that heart disease comes from arterial linings being clogged up with fats, and it makes sense that if we eat fat, that our body just takes it and it jams it into the arterial linings, and then they get stuffed up and the pump, which is your heart, starts running dry, and as we all know, when you run a pump dry, it overloads and then it stops. Unfortunately, that seemingly logical explanation is really just about as logical as saying that when Xanthos took the castle from Scotland and brought it over to New York and reassembled it and created the exact same looking castle in the sky in New York City, that he must have gone over to Scotland, picked up the entire castle, brought it over, and just placed it on top of the building in New York City. When in fact we all know that it's impossible to move an entire castle with today's technology. What you would need to do is you would need to break apart the castle stone by stone into movable chunks. Now sometimes those chunks are going to break apart and you're going to get rubble and you're going to get dust and you're going to have to replace that rubble and dust with other crap that you get. This crap is new crap that you get from somewhere else. It doesn't really matter where. Maybe you got it from the sands of the Sahara, maybe you got it from the dirt in Hudson Bay. I don't know. But the point is that you're going to be taking apart stuff, you're going to lose a few pieces, you're going to reassemble it the best you can to make it look like the same castle, and hopefully it'll still break the curse of Goliath and come out of his stone slumber, and with all of his friends can fight evil in New York City. Gargoyles. Basically, the fat in your arteries is the exact same thing. The fat in your arteries actually comes from broken up little pieces made from all kinds of foods that we eat. The interesting thing is, the fats that we eat are typically not the things that turn back into more fats in our bodies. In fact, the stuff that the government and the food industry told us to eat in replacement of these saturated fats, such as trans fats, are actually far more dangerous, and the correlation between them and heart disease seems to be much stronger. However, the biggest culprits for the creation of these fats seems to be refined carbohydrates. These refined carbohydrates actually break down into simple sugars which boosts our insulin levels, which is basically the body's signal of saying it's time to whip up some new triglycerides. So that's it for today. Start of the video wasn't as interesting as I wanted it to be. I really had the intention of telling you all about the food industry and everything, but now that I look back, that was a silly idea because there's no way I could sum it all up in a 3-minute video. Also, I want to say hi to all of our new subscribers. I'll send you guys a message on Thursday. Had to teach today. See you tomorrow, Nick.